CIA official dead in Dhaka. The timing raises questions, unveiling the Dhaka hotel mystery. Modi-Putin car ride murmurs. Was this a plot to attack India?
Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on Explained by NewsX. Today we're going to be discussing the curious case of the death of an American in Dhaka, Bangladesh. We're calling this the curious incident because several questions are rising, not only due to the nationality of the dead, but also the timing of it. Terrence Jackson's body was reportedly found on 31st August 2025 in room 808 of the Western Hotel in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Bangladesh police initially suggested natural causes and stated there were no obvious instances or signs of foul play. Terrence was reported to be a senior US Army Special Forces officer who was found dead. Jackson was reportedly a Command Inspector General for the 1st Special Forces Command of the US Army, with extensive involvement in special operations. The lack of clarity on the profession of Jackson is a thrill of any conspiracy theory. He's said to have served more than 20 years in the US Army after a prior time in the Army National Guard. Some sources also claim that he joined the US Army in 2006, following 3 years in the Army National Guard. Amongst other speculation, there is also talk that Jackson was purportedly involved in planning and executing special operations, perhaps in the Asia-Pacific region. His role was described as Commander Inspector General, which suggests oversight of operational readiness and coordination across US Army Special Forces units. Why are we discussing this? Well, the answer is in the conspiracy theory unwinding. Jackson's presence in Dhaka has drawn attention because of the sensitive geopolitical context. His reported role and location raises questions about US intelligence activities in Bangladesh. Interestingly, the death of Jackson coincides with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin, China, and the much talked about moment when PM Modi was offered to be chauffeured around in Russian President Putin's vehicle. The conspiracy theory doesn't see this as an isolated incident, but a chain of events that point to a larger geopolitical undercurrent involving the US, Russia, and India. The conspiracy theory perceives that Putin's move to wait for Modi was a protective measure, executed after last-minute intelligence coordination between Russian and Indian security agencies. Now, with these theories laid down, one is bound to ask these questions about Terrence Jackson's death. What was he doing in Dhaka? Why was he there? What fits and what doesn't? How does all of this map onto the historic claims about the CIA and India? Well, since its inception, the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, has existed in the global public imagination, as much as a ghost in the machine as a government body. It's the invisible actor in 1,000 different dramas, the subject of relentless speculation ranging from regime change in South America to the manipulation of elections in Europe. In the collective subconscious, the agency is the ultimate foreign hand, the entity that moves chess pieces, topples governments, and in the darkest whispers, removes individuals who threaten its interests. One would not be amazed that such conspiracy theories emerge as the doing of CIA. Previously as well, there were instances like the unexplained death of Homi Bhabha, Lal Bahadur Shastri, which point towards the involvement of this foreign hand. India's unassuming but fiercely principled second Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, was in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, signing a peace accord with Pakistan following the 1965 war. The official account of his death says that late at night, hours after signing the peace agreement, Shastri died of a sudden heart attack. He was 61. The official cause of death was cardiac arrest. It's to be noted that no official post-mortem was conducted in Tashkent. One must think the speed and the international location of Shastri's death, just immediately after a contentious peace deal, ignited a political firestorm of suspicion that continues to burn even today. The narrative points or positions that the CIA or perhaps another rival power viewed Shastri as an obstacle, a leader too close to the Soviet Union and too committed to an independent socialist-leaning foreign policy. He was reportedly to discuss Bhabha's nuclear proposals upon returning from Tashkent. This nuclear proposal entailed that India was ready to be a nuclear state. The poison theory of Shastri's death says the most prevalent theory suggests he was poisoned. The lack of a formal autopsy, which would have settled the matter, cemented the assassination claim. Upon his body's arrival in India, the family noted blue patches and cuts on his skin, fueling the belief further that a poison had been administered and an autopsy would have confirmed foul play. The government, however, has consistently maintained the official account of death by cardiac arrest. The theory suggests that either the US was threatened by India's nuclear plans or to destabilize the Indian government and to install a more pliable leader during a crucial geopolitical moment. Just days after another leader of the Indian nuclear plan succumbed to mysterious death, Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, often called the father of the Indian nuclear program. He was India's nuclear future. He was an uncompromising advocate for self-reliance, Atmanirbharta. Homi Bhabha was amongst the founding members of the reactor at an atomic energy center in Mumbai in 1957. In late 1964, Bhabha publicly asserted that if granted the political mandate, India could produce a nuclear device in 18 months. This put him directly at odds with the US and other major powers interested in nuclear non-proliferation. In October 1965, Bhabha had announced overall India Radio that if he got the go-ahead, India had the capability to make a nuclear bomb in 18 months. The official account says that on January 24, 1966, the Air India Flight 101, a Boeing 707 named the Kanchenjunga, crashed into Mont Blanc in the French Alps while en route from Bombay to London. All 117 people on board, including Dr. Bhabha, were killed. The cause was attributed to a miscommunication between the pilot and Geneva Air Traffic Control regarding the aircraft's position. But the conspiracy narrative says that this is where the CIA enters the story. The theory alleges that the Bhabha's plane crash was not an accident, but an assassination orchestrated by US intelligence to halt India's burgeoning nuclear ambitions. The central piece of alleged proof is the purported confession of a man named Robert Crowley, a long-time high-ranking CIA operations officer. On the 11th of July 2008, he suggested that the US intelligence agency had a role in the crash. The CIA officer was quoted as saying, "We had trouble with India back in the 60s when they got uppity and started work on an atomic bomb. The thing is, they were getting into bed with the Russians." Referring to Bhabha, he said that one was dangerous. "Believe me, he had an unfortunate accident. He was flying to Vienna to stir up more trouble when his Boeing 707 had a bomb go off in the cargo hold." Such coverted operations start with a hush, and who knows, the death of Jackson could be the start of one. There is one more aspect to Jackson's death that makes the speculation stronger. He was reportedly posted in the St. Martin's Island to train US troops. If we suppose that an intelligence-connected individual is operating in St. Martin's Island of Bangladesh, why St. Martin? Well, the answer is not very complex. St. Martin's is at the crossroads of Indian Ocean, trade, Chinese influence via China-Myanmar, Indian eastern flank, and Bangladesh's internal politics, which often tilts between India and China. Moreover, St. Martin's Island lies at the tip of Bangladesh's southern coastline, in the Bay of Bengal, close to the Myanmar border. It has been identified as a strategic jewel because whoever holds or influences that terrain has a advantage over maritime routes, naval domain awareness, and sea traffic through the Bay of Bengal. For Bangladesh, for India, and for China, and for the US, the island region constitutes a zone of potential leverage as well as monitoring. So if an intelligence officer was present in Dhaka, the proximity of the region to such strategic terrain does offer, of course, some very suspicions. Well, close to the St. Martin's Island is the northeast India. During the tumultuous time of civil unrest in Manipur, you could see on your screens Daniel Stephen Corney. Let's quickly put up Daniel Corney, a 40-year-old controversial evangelist of US origin, distributing drones and bulletproof jackets amongst Kuki militants. The video, which has been cited as proof to accuse him of inciting violence in ethnic violence in Manipur, was uploaded on his YouTube channel, named Fool for Christ, in March this year. The actual truth remains locked away in classified documents. If it exists at all, what remains is the power of the theory itself. In periods of intense geopolitical flux, when the global order feels fragile and history seems arbitrary, speculations, rumors, conspiracies become the default explanation. Conspiracies are a powerful cultural mechanism, an attempt by the public to replace a bewildering, complicated and often cruel reality with a simpler, more controlled narrative. But the glaring coincidences that indicate CIA's involvement, acting as a foreign hand, cannot be ignored. Theories float, some come true, some remain speculation. This makes us wonder more and more.
CIA official dead in Dhaka. The timing raises questions, unveiling the Dhaka hotel mystery. Modi-Putin car ride murmurs. Was this a plot to attack India?